everyone, welcome back or welcome if you're new here. I wanted to share the books that I read in December with you. I wanted to start with the physical copies of books and then I'll talk about the books that I read on my Kindle. I'm not going to give a summary of them because I already talked about them before and you probably already know what books these are because they're very popular, so I'm just going to tell you the book name and then go from there. I read Beach Read by Emily Henry, and yes, it was during the winter time, but it was still so freaking amazing and I love it so much. I read Powerless by Lauren Roberts and I am obsessed with this book. Like 5 out of 5 stars. Obsessed with this universe and I can't wait till the next book comes out. I had to reread House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J Maas because the third book is coming out, and let me just say, the PTSD that comes with reading the ending of this book or a quarter of the way through the ending, I forgot everything that had happened because I did not want to remember the pain and suffering that some of these characters are going to go through. And now I am still very excited about reading the third book, but I'm also so terrified to see what she has in store for all of these characters. And if someone dies, I'm gonna need a whole year to recuperate from that. Now let's talk about the books that I read on my Kindle. I'm gonna have it here because I don't remember all of them. I read The Ever King by L.J. Andrews. This book follows Livia and Eric, and basically Livia's dad killed Eric's dad, and Eric has been seeking revenge for the longest time, but he is trapped in his own world and can't cross to Livia's realm. She was able to break the chain that didn't allow Eric to come into their realm, and this man literally goes through and kidnaps her. He kidnaps her and takes her on his ship because he obviously wants revenge, and there's a lot of action in this, and it also kind of feels like Pirates of the Caribbean in a way. So it was a very enjoyable read. I would give it a 3.75. I read Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue. This book follows Ray, and Ray is all into the supernatural world and she also likes hunting for ghosts. But one day she accidentally summoned a demon. It's basically the main character Ray falling in love with the demon Leon. It's very interesting to say the least. It was fun, but it didn't really make me want to continue reading the rest of the series just because it was different. Maybe in the future I'll like reading them more. I'll give the whole demon romance aspect another try. I've never read a demon supernatural book before, so it was interesting, but it just wasn't for me. I'd rate it a 3.85. I then went, since I was already in a dark romance little rabbit hole, I decided to give The Cat and Mouse Duet a try, and let me just say that I was traumatized, to say the least, after reading that duology. Haunting Adeline and Hunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. I'm sure everyone and their mother has heard about this. It's basically a stalker romance, and I didn't really enjoy reading the first book, but Hunting Adeline, that book, if you were to rate the beginning of that book because of the trauma that it caused me, it would be in the negative numbers, but I feel like I would give it like a 4.25 just because of the outcome and how everything got resolved. I really enjoyed the revenge aspect of it. I was obsessed with that because after what they did, I needed solid revenge for everything, including the trauma that it caused me. So as a whole, it was a 4.25 because of that. I literally had to douse myself in all sorts of fluffy romance after reading that because I was so traumatized and I needed a palate cleanser. In order for me to cope after reading The Cat and Mouse Duet, I decided to read the Chestnut Springs series, but I didn't read all of them. I only read 3 of them. Flawless, Heartless, and Reckless by Elsie Silver. The first book in the series is Flawless, and it's an enemies to lovers romance. This book follows Rhett and Summer, and Rhett, he's a famous bull rider. He got in trouble and is basically in need of a babysitter, and it comes in the form of Summer. Summer is his manager's daughter, and they both don't really like the arrangement, but they don't really have a choice. Summer is stuck as his babysitter, so she has to go and live with him on his family's ranch. I really enjoyed reading this. I love the small town aspect of it, and the fact that he was a bull rider made it more interesting, so I would give this a 4.25. And the next book by her that I read was Heartless, and this one was by far my favorite one. It's a single dad romance. I love a single dad trope. This follows Cade and Willa, and Cade is a very grumpy man. He comes off as very rude and unapproachable, but he needs a babysitter because he is a rancher. He takes care of the family ranch. He can't bring his son along while he works. So Summer, the girl from the previous book, has a best friend, and her name is Willa. She's basically the one that comes up with the idea of Willa being the one that Cade hires for his son to be a nanny. His son absolutely adores her, but Cade obviously isn't really warmed up to the idea of her, but he decides to give it a try, and I loved it so much. I would give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And the other book that I read was Reckless. This one follows Theo and Winter. He's also a bull rider. Winter is sisters with Summer, the girl from the first book. They end up meeting because everyone gathers for like a family dinner. After dinner, Winter wants to go home, but Theo doesn't want her to drive in the snow, so they end up leaving together. They end up going to a bar after, and they start talking, and the drinks are involved, and they end up having a one-night stand. I'm not going to tell you anything else because I don't want to spoil anything, but I definitely liked Theo more than Winter and the other books. I think I liked the women more than I liked the men, but in this one, I adored Theo so much, and I would give this one a 4.25. I read Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. It's about Julian and Dahlia. Dahlia just got out of an engagement. She's going back to Lake Wisteria, which is where she grew up, and Julian happens to be there as well. They end up working together to renovate a historic home. I love the Mexican American aspect to it and how they spoke in Spanglish. It made it so much more special that she added that into it. I would give this one a 4 out of 5 stars. This book follows Rory and Hazel. It's a fake dating hockey romance, and it was so entertaining to read. I would give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Those were all of the books that I read in December. I know it was a lot of random stuff that I read, and I would definitely say that my favorite reads for this month were Beach Read, House of Sky and Breath, and obviously Powerless. Powerless being number 1. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!